Welcome to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. Now here's your host, Tim McMahon.
Welcome, young Skywalker.
It was recently in the news that Lucasfilm is suing two companies, owned by the same guy, for copyright infringement. Basically, these businesses are using Star Wars materials and elements to try and make a profit, and they're trying to register trademarks that cut a little too close to Lucasfilm's already established marks. I'm not going to go into the case, other than to voice my opinion that, hey, if you're trying to make money off of something you don't own, you should have saw this coming. Actually, Lucasfilm has always had a great relationship with fan organizations like the 501st, and with fan filmmakers, or even the podcasting community, because these groups are non-profit and they make no trademark claims. But anyway, let's get back on topic. This whole case got me thinking about the future of Star Wars when copyright runs out. Now, I'm not a legal scholar, but I believe the original intent of copyright was to protect the creator, to allow them to make money off of their own works in their lifetime before their creations then went into the public domain. When originally enacted into law in the US in 1790, copyright protection lasted approximately 30 years. Now, these laws protect the original creator for their lifetime plus an additional 50 years, or an extra 75 years if the creation is a work for hire. Now, this caused my brain to ponder the future of Star Wars. The far future of Star Wars. I've said on the show before that Star Wars will outlive us all, and you know what, I'm okay with that. But what will Star Wars look like in 100, 200 years when it enters the public domain? Now, of course, there is the argument to be made that Star Wars will never enter the public domain because the laws of our corporation-friendly nation will continue to change to protect rights holders like Lucasfilm and Disney. Looking back on how copyright laws have evolved, this is a reasonable conclusion. But imagine, if you will, a world where Star Wars does enter the public domain. Imagine a day where anyone can make a Star Wars film, much like anyone can make their own King Arthur or Robin Hood film today. A day where someone can make a Star Wars film and mix things up a bit. Like, you know how we currently have Sherlock Holmes movies set in Victoria, England, or Sherlock Holmes TV shows set in modern London? Or even one where it's set in modern New York with a female Watson? Well, what if creators had this sort of freedom when they're playing in that galaxy far, far away? We could see reimaginings of the saga that are set on Earth during World War II, or a version where Jedis are cops, or one where everything looks all sleek like Tron or the Apple iPhone instead of a used universe feeling. Or filmmakers could go back and tell the stories that we almost had, such as when Owen Lars and Ben Kenobi were brothers, or Luke and Leia weren't siblings, or a version where we have Wookiees and not Ewoks battle the Empire in the end. Now, like I've said, this sort of freedom, if it ever comes to Star Wars, is going to happen long after we're dead. So for now, all we can do is imagine. And I know someone somewhere is listening to this right now screaming at me saying, but we already have all that. They're called fan films. But that's not what I'm talking about. Fan films are great, but they're small. I'm talking big, giant blockbusters. Now, I know so many Star Wars fans are uptight about canon, but you gotta let that go. No one worries about canon when reading conflicting Paul Bunyan tall tales in elementary school. It's just a story. So, I want to hear your alternate universe Star Wars storylines. Do you like crazy changes better, or do you prefer subtle differences in retellings of the classic tales? Send your stories my way via email at 12parsekspodcast@gmail.com, or connect with me on social media. And hey, if you are a legal scholar, and if I completely have a misunderstanding of trademark and public domain, set me straight. I want to know that too. Thanks for listening. Utini!
Now, young Skywalker, you will die.
You've been listening to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy, part of the expanded Fandomverse network of shows. For links and show notes, visit our website, 12parsekpodcast.com. Follow Less Than 12 Parsecs on Twitter at 12parpod, on Instagram at 12parsekspodcast, on Tumblr at 12parsekspodcast, and find us on Facebook as well. And please let us know what you think. Email us at 12parsekspodcast@gmail.com.